When most people think of Scotland's cities, they think of Edinburgh or Glasgow. Yet Scotland is home to 8 cities, each with its own unique character and story. Scotland's oldest city became an industrial powerhouse, but all that was lost, casting a lasting shadow. Join me as I explore the city of Dundee. I have made it to Dundee, and I've arrived here in an area which has a lot of old warehouses. All these old brick warehouses are so nice. Feels like stepping back in time. This area of Dundee is lined with warehouses, remnants of the city's industrial past. Among them is the Verdant Works, a preserved jute mill where visitors can learn about Dundee's history as the jute capital of the world. My ticket costs £24.50, and that gets me access to the Verdant Works here and also the Discovery, which is something I'll be visiting later in the video. The man at reception recommended 1.5 to 2 hours to go around this museum. It looks like there's quite a lot to see. Dundee's jute industry thrived from the 19th century to the mid-20th century, establishing the city as a global hub for jute production. Jute is a strong, fibrous plant used to create sacks, ropes and carpets. Although the raw material was grown in India, Dundee's mills led the world in processing it, thanks to technological innovations and the city's maritime trade links. This is jute. Looks a bit like a wig. The industry exploded during the Industrial Revolution, and at its peak in the late 1800s, the industry supported around 25% of Dundee's entire population. However, the industry began to decline in the 20th century. Competition grew as jute processing was relocated closer to where it was cultivated, particularly in India. By the 1960s, Dundee's jute industry had all but collapsed, leaving a substantial number of people unemployed and impacting the city's economy for decades to come. This museum is excellent. If you come to Dundee, you must visit here. I didn't realise how big the jute industry was here in Dundee. To be honest, I didn't know that much at all, even about Dundee. So it was really interesting to learn more about the history. Here at the Jute Museum, there is a cafe, and they sell Dundee cake, which I haven't seen sold in many places. I bought it because it is one of the traditional foods from Scotland, so let's give it a try. It's a little bit like a fruitcake. Okay, let's give the Dundee cake a try. This is my first ever time trying this, actually. Very nice. I think it would be good with some butter. A lot of fruit inside it. With the decline of the jute industry and other traditional industries, the city of Dundee adopted a plan to regenerate and reinvent itself as a cultural centre. This has attracted new businesses to set up in the city, and some of these old warehouses have been repurposed and given a new lease of life. When many of you think of drinks from Scotland, probably whisky is what comes to mind. And when I travel around Scotland, I tend to visit many whisky distilleries. Scotland's craft beer scene has grown significantly over the last few decades, and Scotland is now home to some of the most exciting and innovative breweries in the UK. Here in Dundee is one of those breweries, and it's the first active brewery in Dundee in over 50 years. Let's go in and check it out. 71 Brewing opened in 2016 and operates out of an industrial warehouse in the heart of Dundee. Their mission is to revive the city's brewing tradition while contributing to Dundee's growing reputation as a creative and cultural hub. I had a chat with Ross from 71 Brewing.
So yeah, this is a brewery. So originally it was part of the old foundry, the old ironworks. Foundry was a large stretch of kind of industrial buildings that they built a lot of the kind of industrial equipment for jute mills and the whaling kind of industry. As you can see, it's still a big, beautiful red brick building. This whole area back in the day when it was the ironwork foundry, there was lots of chimney stacks and smoke and dirt in general, which gives the area its name, Blackness. We've got a couple of nods to the area we're in our beers. Obviously, one of our stouts being called Blackness.
Ross showed me around the brewery. 71 Brewing focus on producing modern, high-quality craft beers, drawing on both traditional brewing techniques and innovative approaches.
So, some of the awards that we've won are Haze Halo, our hazy IPA. Very recently won Scotland Food and Drink Excellence Award for Best Beer and Cider Product, which is a big win for us. Happy to kind of keep sharing the beer and let everyone try it.
Congratulations, that's amazing.
Thanks. There's one of the architects that's helped kind of redesign the upper floors of the brewery. He takes some of the spent grain that we use in the brewing process and he compresses it down, makes a material out of it that he then builds furniture, and one of his earlier works, he did this for us since he was using the spent grain from our lager. He then made a 71 Brewing lager sign. For a brewery our size, we do lots of different beers. We have a core range that we do regularly, from a lager, IPAs, even IPAs, there are multiple categories. There's more traditional styles, there's fruitier styles. We do stouts, Scottish heavies, 80 shillings, more traditional styles again. The world is our oyster. We can really create any style we'd like.
I then caught up with Duncan, the owner, who explained more about his vision for 71 Brewing.
I was born grew up in Dundee, and I'd moved away many years before, but we could see that there's this regeneration that was happening in the city. There was a real energy bringing the city kind of into the 21st century. It was a very industrial city previously. It's gone through really hard times in rebuilding on the creative industries, and the V&A Design Museum was one example of that, but kind of gave us confidence that the city was moving. So we found this beautiful old ironworks, which after lots and lots of work became a good spot for us to place the brewery. But really we wanted to, we could see that Dundee was regenerating itself, but it was still missing some kind of key elements, and we thought, right, it's not just the beer that we would like to work on, but how can we add to that kind of cultural offering in the city to help move it towards that goal that everybody wants to see it revived and regenerated, and just given a new lease of life after a lot of that industry left in the 70s and 80s and disappeared. And that, I think, is something that we're still doing. So we're not just working on the beer and the brewing, we're also working on a number of different hospitality projects currently. And that's I think it's a big part of our future. We make beer to make people happy, to bring them joy, and I think we can do that on a wider level as well.
My tour inside 71 Brewing was so interesting. I often drink beer, but I wasn't really aware of all the steps involved in actually making beer. It's also so interesting that the brewery is located in this red brick old warehouse, and it has this connection to Dundee's past. If you're like me and would like to try the beer from 71 Brewing, I have some fantastic news for you. My friends over at Beer 52 have teamed up with 71 Brewing and other breweries across Scotland to offer you a free case of Scottish beers. All you need to do is go to www.beer52.com/Ruth, cover the £4.95 postage, and you'll get 8 unique Scottish beers delivered straight to your door. Their Scotland Adventure case includes 2 amazing beers from 71 Brewing, along with limited edition beers from other breweries like Vault City, Fierce Beer and Brew Gooder. This is the hazy IPA from 71 Brewing. This beer has a full body and light bitterness, which allows the delicious citrus flavour to shine through. If you also enjoy dark beers, you can opt for the mixed case. It includes the Heavy Lifting, which is a Scottish heavy beer. I like the name of this one, Heavy Lifting. It has aromas of toffee and caramel, while the taste is sweet with notes of caramel and biscuit. This beer won gold at the Scottish Beer Awards. Inside your case, you'll also get 2 tasty snacks and a copy of the award-winning Ferment magazine. If you decide that Beer 52 is not for you, you can pause or cancel at any time. So to try all these amazing Scottish beers, go to www.beer52.com/Ruth to claim your free case. I'll also leave the link below. Now let's go to the next location. I've now made it down to the waterfront area of Dundee, and I really love places that are on the water because it's so nice to walk along the promenade in front of the sea, and sometimes there's nice cafes. Earlier this year, Dundee introduced a low emission zone. So there's a zone in the city centre area of Dundee, and older vehicles are not allowed inside, or if you go inside you get fined. And there's a few other Scottish cities that have low emission zones. I believe Aberdeen, Edinburgh and Glasgow. And I actually got fined earlier this year in Aberdeen. So on my way back from Shetland, I got off the Northlink ferry. It arrives into the city centre of Aberdeen. And when you come off the ferry, there's two roads. You can either go right or left. And I didn't even know that there was a low emission zone. So I turned right, and that went straight into the low emission zone, and I got fined. So I got a letter in the post, and the fine was £60, but if you pay within 14 days, you get 50% discount. So in the end, it was £30, but yeah, it's quite challenging. So if you come to Scotland, you need to be aware of these low emission zones, because if you get fined multiple times, the fines can really rack up. In the area down here by the water of Dundee, there are quite a few things to see. So the first place I'm going to head is one of the top attractions here in Dundee. It's called the Discovery, and I got a joint ticket when I went to the Verdant Works. So I'm going to head there first, and it is an old ship with a very interesting story. I am really excited to go inside because so many people have raved about this ship and how interesting it is. Alongside jute, Dundee was also known for shipbuilding and marmalade production. Dundee's shipbuilding industry peaked in the 19th and early 20th centuries. Situated on the River Tay, Dundee became known for constructing wooden sailing ships, then later iron-hulled steamships, especially for whaling and trade. Its shipyards built vessels capable of withstanding Arctic ice, fueling Dundee's prominent role in the whaling industry and polar exploration. The most famous vessel is the RRS Discovery, built in 1901 for the British National Antarctic Expedition. Dundee's shipbuilding declined after World War II, with the last yard closing in the 1980s. But its legacy lives on, particularly through the RRS Discovery, now a museum ship in the city. Here is the ship behind me. Wow, it is absolutely huge, and it's right beside Dundee station. So if you come here for the day on the train, just go to the train station, walk outside, and then the ship is right here. So that could be a really nice day trip from somewhere. Life on the Discovery was challenging and demanding during the ship's 2-year voyage to Antarctica. The crew braved extreme cold, cramped quarters, and long months of darkness in the Antarctic winter, which took a toll on both morale and health. Now I'm going to go down the stairs and see what is below. Their daily routine was strict. They spent hours maintaining the ship, conducting scientific research, and rationing preserved foods like salted meat and hard biscuits. The crew faced constant risks, from frostbite to illness, and the ever-present threat of the ship becoming trapped in thick ice. Despite these hardships, the crew's perseverance led to groundbreaking scientific discoveries. I don't know if I could survive that long at sea in Antarctica. Could you do it? Oh, it's a long time, and it'd be very cold. I think I've explored the whole ship now. It is so interesting. I highly recommend you to visit this. You can see so much, and the ship feels so much bigger inside than when you see it outside. There's so much to explore. My next stop is going to be the V&A Museum, which can be seen behind me. This is such a uniquely shaped building, and also one of the main things to do here in Dundee. Let's go inside and take a look. The V&A Dundee is part of the Victoria and Albert Museum in London, and is Scotland's first design museum. Designed by Japanese architect Kengo Kuma, it's known for its striking architecture, which was inspired by the rugged cliffs of Scotland's coastlines. The museum showcases a diverse range of design, from historical artefacts to contemporary pieces, highlighting the importance of design in everyday life. Given the building's size, I anticipated more to explore inside, It felt very open and minimal. Nonetheless, I'm still glad I visited, especially as I'd heard of an excellent donut spot nearby. Okay, so I have my pumpkin spice latte. I think this is the first ever time I'm trying a pumpkin spice latte. Looks fantastic. Wow. Oh, very nice. So I've seen this coffee stand recommended so much on Instagram. I've seen so many pictures and posts about it, so I had to visit. And what I saw the pictures of were the donuts with Nutella. These look unreal. Oh my gosh, she said to take lots of napkins because they're very messy. Wow. Oh my gosh, they're so messy. As I walked along the waterfront, I passed the Tay Road Bridge, which opened in 1966. It crosses the Firth of Tay and is 2,250 metres long, making it one of the longest road bridges in Europe. The bridge replaced the Tay Ferry and revolutionised transportation in the area. Also crossing the Firth of Tay is the Tay Rail Bridge. The original bridge, designed by Sir Thomas Bouch and completed in 1878, was an engineering marvel and the longest railway bridge in the world at the time. However, on December 28, 1879, a violent storm caused a section of the bridge to collapse while a train carrying 75 passengers crossed, resulting in the deaths of all on board. This disaster revealed significant design flaws and led to a public inquiry, ruining Bouch's career. A new bridge was constructed and it has remained in service ever since, with some original piers still standing as a reminder of the tragedy. I walked along the seafront and there are so many flats and houses looking on to the River Tay, and that must be such a nice place to live with those views. Just nearby I came across this other ship, and this is one of the oldest surviving warships in the entire world. It's called the HMS Unicorn. This ship was launched in 1824, so it's 200 years old this year, and you can go inside. It's open to the public and it's a museum. I'm quite interested to see what it looks like inside. Let's go and have a look. The ship was designed during the Napoleonic Wars, though it was never fully rigged for battle. Instead, HMS Unicorn served as a floating storage facility, which helped preserve its structure over the years. The ship is unique for its roofed or covered design, which protected it from the elements. This preservation method is why much of its original timber and features remain intact today. Wow, this ship is amazing. It's so big inside. I didn't expect it to look like this. So there are 4 decks on the boat and this is the top one. Amazing. At the brewery, they were telling me around 20, 30 years ago, people used to have parties on this boat. It would be such an amazing place to have a party or an event. Look how much space there is, there's so much light, but I wonder if the floors are strong enough to hold that many people. I'm not sure. I feel like this boat is much more comfortable and spacious than the Discovery boat that I was on earlier. This here is the captain's cabin. Quite nice. So I've come down to some of the lower decks now, and there are some bedrooms and the ceilings are really low. So I'm 5'3". Look, it's almost touching. I think I can't. Oh, it's just brushing my head. Okay, there's one more deck to go down. The 4th deck, let's go down. Down here looks like storage. In the bottom deck here, the ceilings are very low and I'm having to crouch down, otherwise I'll hit my head. And I wonder how many times the people working on this ship hit their head. Probably many, many times. I'm really glad I came and had a look here on the HMS Unicorn. it's quite different to the Discovery ship, and it's nice to see them both. Dundee is Scotland's 4th largest city and has a population of around 150,000. As I explored more, I came across statues from the Beano. D.C. Thompson, publishers of the Beano, the Dandy, the Sunday Post and the People's Friend, was established in 1905 and still employs around 2,000 people to this day. I also visited the McManus Museum, a beautiful Gothic building housing an extensive collection from ancient Egypt to modern Scottish art. I next caught up with some of my new friends from 71 Brewing at the Maker. They serve Mexican food with some dishes made from 71 Brewing's beers. The brownie infused with Black Ness Stout was amazing, and I had a few beers too. So, it has been such an amazing day exploring around Dundee, and the last thing I'm going to do is something that many of you recommended to me on Instagram when I posted on there about any suggestions of things to do in Dundee, and that is hike up to the top of the Law, I think it's called, and from there you can get amazing views over the whole city of Dundee. The sun is going down and I hope I can make it up there before sunset. Let's get going. So from here, which is the Dundee City Square, there is a walking trail called Town to Top, and I think it takes around 30 or 40 minutes. Even though Dundee lost its traditional industries, it's found a new identity, and it's exciting to see such a vibrant revival of the city. The opening of the V&A Dundee in 2018 is said to have marked a turning point, enhancing its appeal as a design capital. These days, the city is also known for its 2 universities and video game industry, which is attracting young talent and innovative companies. The city is set to grow as a dynamic, tech-savvy destination, bridging Scotland's past with modern creative aspirations. On my walk, I came across the impressive 85-metre Cox's Stack, a chimney which belonged to one of Dundee's largest jute mills. Starting to see the city behind me there in the distance. This is a hike. Oh, a lot of steps. So I think I've been hiking for around 20 minutes. The total hike is around 30 minutes. Oh, it's quite steep. I think you can drive to the top, or you can hike. But if you do hike, I don't recommend drinking any beer before the hike. I think I'm almost there. Maybe 5-10 more minutes. So I made it to the top of Law Hill. Wow, the views are amazing. Definitely was worth the hike. Wow, with all the autumn colours is so beautiful, and I didn't realise how big the city of Dundee was, and from up here you can really see the size of it. If you look closely enough, even though there's a lot of buildings, you can see a lot of the old warehouses and factories that I was walking around earlier in the day. They're all located in the similar area just near the water. And also here on top of the hill is a war memorial. How interesting. The summit of the Law is the highest point in the city at 174 metres. In the distance, I could see Dundee's 2 rival football stadiums. Dundee and Dundee United's football stadiums are around 100 metres apart, making them the closest 2 football stadiums in the United Kingdom. I found this wonderful artwork here at the top of Law Hill as well. I've had such a good time here in Dundee, and thank you so much for watching this video today. Remember, if you'd like to get your free case of Scottish beer, head over to beer52.com/Ruth. I'll see you next time. Bye!